All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Kokino Podcast. Today I'm going to tell the story of how I broke my arm because I cannot think of anything to tell, and it is 11:28, and I'm very close to missing the deadline to make one of these a day. So let's go, let's go, let's go. The story of how I broke my arm. So, a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, I was a child, and my brothers were a child, and my cousins were children. We were all children. And there was this thing that all of us kind of liked doing. It was jumping off of the bunk bed, because I had a bunk bed in my room. It was a red bunk bed with like a chrome kind of metal pipage going through it. It was really cool, and I really liked it. Well, we would jump off the bunk bed and onto my brother's bed, which was right next to the bunk bed. Jumped off of the bunk bed onto another bed. It was very fun. Eventually, some of the older people, or the more brave people, started jumping from the bunk bed onto the floor directly. There wasn't any soft landing this time, so it was hard. And I was very, very afraid of doing this and was a coward, and people called me a coward for not doing it because I didn't do it. I never jumped off of the bunk bed onto the floor. I was willing to jump off of the bunk bed onto a pillow, which doesn't seem that far off from jumping onto the floor, but for some reason or another, I was never able to do that. And I was very mad about that and very frustrated. And so eventually I decided one night I was going to do it. I was going to jump off the bunk bed, land on the floor, and get this over with and stop being made fun of or whatever. Something like that. So I remember very specifically what I did. I got to the edge of the bed, right where anyone would normally jump off, and I remember turning to my brother who slept on the other bed, the bed that we used to jump onto, but now we're jumping on the floor. I was looking at my brother on that bed, and I said, "I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna jump off that bunk bed. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool." And then he was like, "Okay." He was like probably 3 or 4 at the time, so I don't even know if he understood what I was saying. But anyways, I jumped off the bunk bed, and I got scared, I guess, and then I put my arm in front of me, and then what do you know? Snap! It hit the floor, and it broke. And I was like, and I started screaming and crying, and then my parents came into the room, and as I was screaming and crying, they were like, "Oh, what happened? What happened? How did this happen?" I was like, "I broke my arm." And then they were like, "Oh, what happened? Was it like were you asleep and you fell off the bed?" And I was like, "Yeah, I was asleep and I fell off the bed." Because I did not want to tell them that I jumped. I didn't want to embarrass myself. I didn't want to. It was embarrassing. I did this on purpose. I broke my arm on purpose. I would get in more trouble. So I lied. I told them, yeah, I rolled off the bed, I was asleep. And so, they took me into the car and then brought me, the drive to the hospital was like a half an hour or maybe 40 minutes or something. And I don't actually remember much from it, but my aunt has told me that I was just completely silent during that drive. Like I wasn't crying or anything. I already knew that I had a broken arm, and I just sat there in silence. And so I got the broken arm fixed. I don't remember what the doctor did, but I got a blue cast. And life was hunky-dory, except I had a blue cast on my arm. And, everyone at school signed their names on the cast, and there was the announcement that like, "Oh, he broke his arm, isn't that cool? I don't know, sign his cast, yeah, cool." And then there was like one girl who didn't want to sign my name because she was stingy. Her name was Romania. Stupid Romania. Didn't like her at all. Nobody liked her. She was the one who stole my what was it? I was suspected that she stole my instrument. I had an instrument that I was going to give for a show and tell at one time, and she stole it from me. I know it was her. I know it was Romania. But anyways, yeah. Other people signed it. My uncles and aunts signed it. Whatever. A bunch of people signed my broken arm, and the doctor told me that I could whack people with it or hit things with it, and it wouldn't break because it was really strong. And so I did that for a while. Eventually, I got to the point where my arm was healed, and it was time to go back to the doctor to get to get it cut off, to get the cast cut off, the blue cast. So many memories, so many beautiful memories. But anyways, so I go into the doctor's office, and the doctor takes out this giant buzzsaw thing, a circular buzzsaw, and he says, "Don't worry, it won't cut your skin. Let me demonstrate." And then he took the saw and put it onto his finger, and he's like, "See?" He pushed it into his finger, and it didn't cut his finger. "See, it's just going to cut the cast. It's a very special saw that can only cut the material that the cast comes off of." So I was like, "Yeah, okay, cool." And then he cut the cast off. He cut a line into it and then took the cast off. And I remember seeing my arm, and it looked kind of bentish, and there was like the skin was kind of brown looking, but other than that, it was cool. And that's how I broke my arm. And I still have some amount of time to go through for this. So, what else should I tell? I guess I'll tell you another story of what I did on the bunk bed. That has nothing to do with breaking my arm, but I have nothing else to tell at this point. So another story. So one day when I was even younger as a kid, I was laying on the bunk bed in the dark, and for some reason or another I couldn't sleep, and I was bored, and there was no way that I was going to get to sleep. And so instead of sleeping, I crawled over to the edge of the bunk bed and sort of looked down, because the bunk bed is like I said, like a red chrome bunk bed with pipes going down, kind of like just like pipes going down, like four pipes going down for the sides, the four posts of the bed. I was looking down one of these posts, and as I looked down the post, it was like looking at a hallway that went down to the floor. It was kind of cool looking, and I had my mouth open while I was looking down. And, I was just like fooling around with spit in my mouth. And then I decided, I just like pushed my tongue against my teeth with the spit. And then like spit came out of my mouth, went on, and it was white. The thing that I was fascinated by it because it was white. It was white spit came down out of my mouth and then dribbled all the way down that pole. And I thought that was pretty cool. And so I decided I was going to do that again. So I gathered up some more spit in my mouth and pushed it through my teeth. And then it became white again. And it dribbled all the way down that pole to the bottom. And then the most amazing thing in the world happened. It stacked on top of the previous spit wad. It stacked. And I was like, oh my God, I know what I can do. This is going to be so cool. I'm going to make Christmas decorations. I'm going to make the whole thing, because the spit, if it's white, it looks like snow, and I can stack them all the way up. And so I spent like the entire night just like spitting down this pipe and trying to aim my spit so it landed on top of that pile of spit things. My plan was to spit on all of the poles. So like it would be Christmas decorations for the whole thing. It wasn't even Christmas, but like that was my thought. It took me a while, but I was able to get halfway up the first pole before I got tired and then went to sleep. I decided I was going to do the rest in the morning. But unfortunately, I woke up the next morning and I looked down there, and pretty much all of the spit had disappeared. It had disappeared into the night, and it was no longer there, and I didn't want to make Christmas decorations anymore. So that was unfortunate. And we're still not at the end of the podcast. Do I have any really, really, really short stories that I can tell? Oh man. I guess I could try going even more embarrassing. Let's see here. I'm going to tell you the story of how I drank my own piss as a kid. So let's go to I was even younger as a kid. I was a 5-year-old kid. I was out in the woods with my cousin Luke, and we were like chopping things with machetes, because that's what 5-year-old kids are supposed to do, right? You're supposed to chop away at thorns and stuff with machetes, super sharp machetes. But anyways, I needed to go pee, and I told Luke this much, and he said, and then I said like, I'm gonna go back to your house and go so I can go pee, and he was like, why don't you just do it here? What's wrong with you? What do you do it here? You could just do it here. Here, let me show you. And then he demonstrated that a man can stand up and pee on the ground. And I saw that, and then I tried it, and it was the coolest thing in the universe. And I was fascinated by this idea. And like for the next few days, all in my life, I would just be peeing on things randomly, just because it was such a cool thing. I remember like peeing on toys on the ground. I was peeing on branches and sticks on the ground. And there was even one point where I peed into the trash can in the kitchen for some reason. But anyways, one of the things that I peed in was there was this tub of muddy water. So I peed into it, and then I thought to myself, you know what would be really badass? It would be really, really badass if I could drink my own piss. That would make me into a true cool person. And so I found like this plastic like tennis ball container that we had for some reason, and scooped some of that muddy water that I had peed into this container, and then drank it. And then it didn't taste too bad. It just tasted mostly muddy. There wasn't any much piss taste in it. So I drank it. And I was like, yeah, I'm a badass. This is cool. I gotta show this off to my friends. But you know what? Before I could show this off to my friends, I decided that, you know what? I better do this one more time. So just to be sure that I can do it. So I waited until I needed to pee again. Then I peed. This time I peed directly into this tennis ball container. And then I took one sip of that direct pee and immediately regretted everything, spat it out, and didn't tell anyone. And so you guys are the only people who know that story. And look, it looks like we've reached 11 minutes and 47 seconds. That's long enough. This has been the end of story time on the Kokino Podcast. See you guys next time.